Hi everyone, Mike here. I'd like to make a quick video to answer your poll questions from a week or so ago. But before I do that, let me give two quick announcements. The first is a question people often ask. Yes, I'm happy to take late work. I'm not super strict about it. If it's really late, weeks late, I will start taking points off to be fair to everybody else. But I'm generally happy to take it up until the last week. The last week it gets way too crazy and hectic, and so I'm much stricter then. But up until then, pretty much happy to take anything. The second one is don't forget there's open office hours Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Just send me a text or an email. We can set it right up. If those times won't work, but you want to chat, I'm happy to do any other time with a little bit of advance warning, a little advance warning. Okay, so let me jump into these questions. So my favorite topic to discuss, I'll just say within philosophy, because obviously philosophy is my favorite topic to discuss, is probably the democracy and what that means. I really do think we're in a bad place in the country right now, and we're in a battle between three forces, really, I think: democracy, authoritarianism, and capitalism. All of these are in tension right now, and so far it's a bit mess and not working out great. If you want to chat about that, happy to chat way more and give more details, but I think that's enough to quickly answer. This is a fun one. I've never thought of this question. Which country is the most ethical? And so I guess the way I would answer it is two things. Which country is the fairest? And by fairest, I mean gives the fairest outcomes and fairest beginnings. And secondly, which is the most democratic? And so it's going to have to be one of the Nordic countries, which are far from perfect countries, by the way. People often overdo it. I've met several people from these countries, and they can tell you all kinds of problems with them. But compared to places like the United States or China or India, they're actually amazingly quite great. And so I guess that would be what I would say for the most ethical countries, the fairest countries, the fairest countries. I don't mind sharing at all. I also teach at Webster University, which is in St. Louis. It's a small liberal arts school. It's really nice. When I was in grad school, I was nearby there, and I also specialized in environmental ethics, and I was teaching it there while I was in grad school. And when I left, they turned it into an online class, and I've been teaching this online environmental ethics class there for 10 years now. And so that's the other place that I teach. And for canoeing nearby, there's a few places you can go. It depends on your skill level and what your interests are. Probably the best thing to do would be to text me or email me. But the safest place, if assuming you know what you're doing a little bit, is to probably go to one of the big lakes. If you're an absolute beginner, go to Homer Lake. Homer Lake, there's a place there where you can rent canoes and PFDs and paddles and get going. If you know a little bit, then probably one of the bigger lakes, Shelbyville or someplace like that, is fun to do. It's a nice day. It's usually big and hot, and there's other people around. If you're looking for more adventure, probably text me or email me, and we can talk about it. I don't want to give things to people that is going to get somebody hurt if they don't know what they're doing. Probably the hardest part of philosophy is the readings, essentially. So it's kind of hard to read old-fashioned stuff just really in any class. That's not just philosophy. Anything old is hard to read. They wrote differently. The sentences are longer. The paragraphs are insanely complex and deep. And you combine that in philosophy, that oldness, not everything is old, but a good chunk of it is, with really hard stuff to talk about. If you just think, well, if I asked you what's justice and you had to answer that, just imagine how hard that is to answer. And then now you have to write it down, and it's old. And so probably the readings are probably the hardest part. They're not impossible. And generally what happens is it's really hard at first, and you get better really fast. And so that's probably the hardest part of the class. The poll is really long because I really weirdly love polling. I've been studying this for years. And so I'm sorry, but that's why. My own philosophy of life is that I really do think democracy needs to permeate every part of life. And I mean, that doesn't mean you just go vote a couple times a year and then just do whatever the hell you want the rest of the time. I really do think that we need to start with a community-based worldview, and that needs to permeate home life, that needs to permeate business, Capitalism should be democratic, not capitalistic. That doesn't mean you can't have capitalism. It means it needs to be constrained by democracy. Democracy should always come first, always come first. And of course, democracy should be in politics. And our country is definitely heading the opposite direction from that right now. Okay, so that's definitely my philosophy of life. And so my favorite philosophers are probably John Dewey, Patricia Churchland, David Hume, I like, Emerson, Thoreau. And the reason I like them is pretty much all the same reason as what I just said. You can find that aspect of a community-based, democracy-based life in all of them, I have read the first Dune book. I didn't read the further series. I liked it, but didn't love it. So I'm one of those people. I wasn't blown away by it. And I tried, I think the second book, this is, I don't know, like 20 something years ago now. And I wasn't overwhelmed. And so I haven't read the whole series, but I did like the first book. I thought it was great. And I just got HBO to watch the new movie. I haven't seen it yet. And I do think there's some chance that parallel universes exist. I think that it's theoretical at best right now. It's not impossible that it's true. Some scientists, Sean Carroll is one of my favorites, who he's a physicist who supports this worldview, gives very strong arguments. So the way I decide things is two things generally, especially things I'm not experts in, is I try to find reliable experts. And by reliable experts, I mean well respected in their own field by lots of people, not some nutcase that, one person on making a video on YouTube. And then I try to compare their view to other competing views within their own field, like physics, for example, and I go from there. And it does seem plausible, but not probable that parallel universes exist. I'm suspicious a little bit because physicists especially, and philosophers do this a little bit too, but physicists especially love to think that because the math is attractive, therefore the thing is true. And that seems like a weird thing to believe. Like I need to see way more empirical evidence before I'm going to go all the way and agree. If by aliens you mean, is there a chance that other people or beings are somewhere in the universe? Highly likely. There's so many planets and solar systems and galaxies. There's almost certainly something else out there. Do you mean they're running around dressed up like humans in the world today? I highly doubt it. I've seen no evidence to support that. But it's fun to think about, of course. All right, so remember, the two things to remember from this week is if you want to ask more questions, you want to talk about philosophy, if you want to get some help with something, if you're having trouble with the readings or the writings, then we can set up an office hour any Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday afternoons, pretty much any time in there. If another time will work for you better and you can't do those times, I can do something with a little advance warning. And I'm always happy to take late work up until the last week. Okay? So I'll make another video probably in a week or so to check up on you. Till then, take care.